Pure Light. Thank you so much for tuning in. Here is what we are going to talk about today. Raising kiddos naturally, literally my everyday in the office, my everyday at home. I love it so much to watch these kiddos get raised naturally and flourish. It is so fun to watch them crush it through milestones and health in general. And we're going to decode that. What does it mean to raise kiddos naturally? Why is it important raising kiddos naturally? And what do you see from raising kiddos naturally? You can either come from watching this webinar, you can be somebody who sees us, somebody who you don't see us, a new parent, a parent of your sixth kid. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if you are like full, on crunchy and everything in your house is natural, or you're very mainstream and Western medical. You can, and you're wanting to implement more natural things. Perfect webinar for you. So what do I know to be true about raising kids naturally? In my eyes, it's the best way to do it. Why is that? The research shows that it's the best way, and clinical observation, best route to go. You will not be sad if you implement some tactics, all the tactics that we talk about today, in helping your kids crush it tomorrow and every day moving forward. This, as everything, you have to put the work in. It's hard work at first, and then it becomes easy. Why is it hard work at front? The world doesn't educate you to raise your kids naturally. The world educates you from a very different model on raising your kiddos, a very mainstream model, an easy, hard approach. Hit the easy button, just let everybody else tell you what to do. And then it gets hard down the line. Your kiddos don't function as well. They're sick more often. Things in your life just aren't going as well. Their bodies don't function as well. They don't develop as well. It's just what happens from the mainstream model. That creates more chemical toxicity. It doesn't give them vitamins and nutrients they have. They don't adapt well to stress. They're more stressed. They're just bogged down by the stresses and toxins of the world. Raising your kids naturally is going to get them out of that and get them functioning better. Okay. So first and foremost, this comes from a philosophical standpoint. First, what do you base how you're doing these things off of? What's the philosophy you utilize? All comes down to basically two. Do we believe the world is out to get us? Is it, do we live in a harmful universe, or do we live in a happy, healthy one? If we come from the happy, healthy one, right? Yes, there are bad things in the world and not very good things, and there's very evil things in the world. But if we just come from a natural world perspective of things that are naturally happening to us, are they meant to happen, such as sicknesses, right? Sicknesses are supposed to happen to us on a consistent basis. We shouldn't be looking at sicknesses as this awful thing. In reality, it's not fun to be sick. It's not fun to have your kiddos when they're sick, but it's a normal, natural thing for your kiddos to go through. And we do them more naturally. Your kiddos going to handle them better. Their immune systems are going to function better, and they're going to get the upgrade, because most sicknesses come from a virus. They're going to get that viral upgrade, and they're going to function better in the world and have a better function. So it's going to come from basically a mechanistic model or salutogenic model. Mechanism comes from these parts and pieces that work together, and the world puts upon that mechanism the stress that we need to treat symptoms. We need to come from a perspective that our bodies weren't created strong enough, so we need to do things on top of them, like take consistent antibiotics or build artificial immunity to everything. And the reality is that our bodies were made so well to adapt to this world. Do we have more stresses and toxins than ever before? 100%, but we can better adapt to them from a natural perspective. That's what we have been instilled within these awesome bodies, is the ability to adapt. That's why you have brown skin. That's why you have white skin. That's why you have dark hair. That's why you have light hair. That's why you have people who have a lot of hair on their body. That's why you have people who have a little hair on their body. We're all humans. Humans just adapted to their environments over time, and the human body, regardless of where you're from, can still adapt to the environment better. There's things that we can do to support our bodies, to help our bodies better adapt to the world. And that comes from that natural perspective. So everything you're going to come from that natural perspective is going to come from the salutogenic model, that we are looking to care for our bodies, to fuel our bodies with what they need. And we're looking at it as the world, these bodies were built for the world. They're not something that we need to protect from the world. Are there things you need to minimize? Sure. Do you need to minimize toxins? Do you need to minimize stress? Sure. But at the same time, we were designed to adapt. Better adaptation. So let's just give you a basic principle. When your kiddos get sick, right? Is it important to give them extra zinc? Is it important to give them extra vitamin C? Is it important to give them more vitamin D? Is it important to get them adjusted? Is it important for them to rest? Yes. However, that's all not for the suppression of the sickness. That's all not for to get the symptoms out quicker. That's to support the body in the way that it was designed to function. Also, don't do it from a reactionary standpoint. Do it from a preventative standpoint. Even the word preventative, right? I don't know why I even said preventative. Do it from a fueling health perspective. Preventative means you are just trying to prevent something from happening in the future. You are trying to prevent a sickness. It's not preventative healthcare. It's healthcare and taking care of your health to make sure we are optimizing the body and better adapting to the world that we live in. Okay. Helping our bodies function at a higher state. Okay. There are three ways, main ways in which we are going to function better. Okay. First would be neurology, which means that we're going to better adapt to stress. Okay. Second would be lifestyle. And third would be, it's going to encompass other bodily functions. So we'll talk about nervous system. Okay. From a salutogenic care model, we want to make sure our nervous system better adapts to this changing world. Okay. This is where we talk a little bit about the fact that the world is more stressful than it ever has been. Okay. If we lived in 1880, right? No cell phone towers, no toxins in our food, nothing of that nature, we would function better. Our nervous systems would be less stressed out. Now we have to do things like wear blue blockers. We have to get adjusted more consistently because that helps balance our central nervous system, helps us better adapt to stress. We're going to do things like get on less technology, things that are going to help fuel our bodies instead of stress them out. Okay. Better adaptation to stress. The best way to do that is consistently get adjusted. You've probably heard me say it time and time again, tooting the same horn because it is so powerful. Get yourself and your kiddos adjusted consistently. It will help them better adapt to stress. And then add things on top of that, like minimizing technology, decreasing blue lights around bedtime, wearing blue blockers, have technology free times, get them outside more, things that are going to help them better adapt to the stressors. Because there's some stressors that you can't get away from. You can't get away from cell phone towers. You can't get away from Wi-Fi. You can't get away from chemicals they pick up on the street. There's things that we can't get away from that are going to stress out our nervous system, things that you can tie into that lifestyle perspective. Okay. When you're raising your kiddo naturally, things in your life are going to be more natural. You're going to ask yourself, lifestyle wise, is this natural? Is this the way that was designed for our bodies to handle in the world? So that means things that are non-GMO, things that aren't sprayed with pesticides, things that are naturally occurring when it comes to like vitamins. Are they naturally occurring? Do they come from natural sources? Or are they just synthesized in a lab to be a certain vitamin that our body's not even going to accept? Are they natural fragrances? Are they natural cleaners? Are they things that are just natural? Okay. If it's in question, either do some research or most likely the answer is going to be no. It's not natural. So raising kiddos naturally, I would over time get all those things out of your life that are artificial. It is a lot of work if you're like, man, I want to climb this mountain, but I'm not even close. I still use Febreze fabric softener. I still use Tide clothes wash. I still use those plug-in wall Glad things. I still buy conventional food that has clearly GMOs in it and some artificial colors and sweeteners. Okay. All right. I'm glad you recognize it. That's huge. Most people don't ever recognize it. Don't ever recognize it. Okay. So raising kiddos naturally, chew one piece away of that at a time when it comes to your lifestyle. That's huge. Huge, huge, huge. Okay. Overall bodily functions. Okay. that are raising kiddos naturally. First, we started out with neurology of helping us better adapt to stress. Second, we talked about lifestyle. Third, we're going to talk about how are we going to get your kiddos to move, and how are we going to tie in those other two pieces that are going to get the rest of their body to function. Okay. So movement wise, do natural movements, jumping, playing, uneven surfaces, outside play, right? On logs and dirt and grass and shoes off. Natural living and raising your kiddos naturally means that they contact the earth. Their bodies contact the earth. They get the dirt, they get the sticks, they get the grass, they get the things. One thing that is not natural, I'll just tell you that, is if there's grassy areas that have no clover, no weeds, no nothing, they are sprayed. And the spray that they put on that is most likely glyphosate, and that wrecks the human body. Okay. Can we better adapt to glyphosate? Sure. With things like ion gut that we consume and keeping ourselves healthy. But if we're not going to subject ourselves to that, let's please not do that. That would be ideal. So getting your kiddos outside for movements that are natural, getting them to be very physical is super important to a developing body naturally, and for neurology. Super, super important. Okay. When we live a better lifestyle, natural, normal digestion, normal bowel movements, no major gas or bloating, skin is healthy, skin is normal, skin is natural. All the things that we're putting on our skin and our body are also natural, don't have artificial things in them. So if that's in question, there's 14 million blogs by moms who went natural, as well as YouTube videos. You can check them out. You can look at them. They're going to give you all the products that you need to get. Super duper important. But when it comes to all this, living a natural lifestyle, I'm going back to the stress piece, going back to better adapting to stress. Why? Because that's the foundation. If you build everything upon that, if you live a natural lifestyle, but you haven't dealt with the ability to better adapt to stress, if you haven't decreased some of the stresses outside of your life, all the natural things that you're putting on top of your system aren't going to work, because the master control system is the key. If you're in fight or flight, your body's never going to take in what you're laying down. It's never going to assimilate the nutrients. It's never going to absorb it's never going to get the most restful sleep that it needs. It's never going to engage the vagus nerve and be social and higher level thinking the way that it's supposed to. And this comes from an early age and transpires into your children get older. And this applies to you as well, mom and dad, or caretaker who's watching this. It's super duper important. Okay. Little last caveat that I'm going to talk about raising kiddos naturally is the immune system. Germ theory. I get this question all the time. Okay. Things like fevers, things like sicknesses. I'll just say that when we're living a natural lifestyle and our bodies are functioning well, the likelihood of your child having a bacterial infection is low. Okay. Bacterial infections are more opportunistic. They are happening within the bottom when the immune system's not working and the body's not functioning the way it was designed, or we're eating too much sugar or dairy. Not against all dairy. Raw dairy is way better. But if we're comboing raw dairy with sugar and other things, even if you're eating a very naturally based lifestyle, I say this all the time, like with like candy, right? Like organic candy. Love organic candy. Is it healthy? Is it natural? No, it's not. It's just not toxic. It doesn't have toxins in it. It's the difference between M&Ms and the M&M mimics that you get at Trader Joe's, one of which is natural, one of them's not. But it doesn't mean that M&Ms from Trader Joe's are healthy, right? And I'm not here to lecture on eating M&Ms from Trader Joe's because I like to be a human too. I'm just saying if it's consistently in our diet, then it's going to throw off our body. So when we're talking about the immune system, natural immunity is always the best. Okay. Making sure our bodies are encountering things that they need to encounter. But this really comes back to how are we supporting the body when we get symptomatic. Okay. We're not trying to cover up and Band-Aid symptoms. Symptoms when we're sick are really important. Gunky eyes, gunky nose, cough, phlegm, fevers, all of that. Those are natural things that the body is doing to get things out. We don't want to just suppress them. Yes, they're uncomfortable for yourself and your kids, but they're really important. They're a part of the process of them getting better. And if you're suppressing them, it's suppressing the body's natural immune system response in order to fight back and function the way it was designed. And every time that we're going to give our kiddos something when it comes to them getting sick. Their body is going to learn that it's not going to employ the immune response that it's supposed to have. You're training the immune system to function differently. It's the same way as if I use this one all the time. It's the best one that I example and know. Some people don't like it, some people do. But if I were to take testosterone into my rear end and I was a bodybuilder, right? If I wanted to take steroids, right? What am I telling my body? I am telling my body that I want it to grow bigger muscles. I want more testosterone in my body. What's going to happen in return? My testicles are going to shrink because my testicles put off testosterone from my body and help me build muscle. If I want to build more muscle beyond my natural limit, I'm going to have shrunken testicles. The same thing happens with our immune system when we support it with things that are natural to cover up symptoms. It's just what's going to happen. We're not going to get an immune system that function as well. Okay. If you want advice on fevers that is not coming from Dr. David, that's coming from a source in the literature that's very easy to read that talks about heights of fevers when it comes under 3 months or after 3 months, send me a message on here. Say, I'd like that article. We'll attach it or we'll direct message it to you or we'll email it to you and we'll get you that article in there to help you better understand fevers, because fevers, the fear around fevers was educated not to us in the medical profession by what research said. It's been educated to us and the medical profession by pharmaceutical companies. Straight up, right in the research, the use of antipyretics for lowering fevers is so widely prevalent, and it's not accurate, the research. So, or what's being told to you versus what's in the research. So, I would highly recommend, if you're interested in that, sending me a message on that, and I'll send it your way. And yeah, go back to things. Go and look at your lifestyle and question things about your lifestyle and whether it's natural or artificial. Because I'll tell you what, it makes a big difference. I've lived in ways that weren't natural before now, and I'm super natural. And so is my wife, and so is my family. And if you can nail it, the best way would be you nail it before you even have kiddos. And you clean yourself up even before you have kiddos, and you detoxify yourself even before you have kiddos. And then your genetic expression with your partner's genetic expression is much higher epigenetically. So epigenetics is how your environment influences your genes, what genes get turned on and turned off, sick genes versus healthy genes, so on and so forth. When you produce offspring in that form, you produce better, stronger, more natural, better functioning genetics, and then you get pregnant, and then that baby grows inside mom, and then mom's living a natural lifestyle, and you decide to do birth and postpartum more naturally, and you take care of your kid more naturally. I'm telling you, it makes a big difference. My kids are living proof. My kids are little superhumans. They function so stinking well when it comes to the immune system, when it comes to movement, when it comes to restful sleep, when it comes to just functioning in life, and the way they process information cognitively, where they interact socially, the way they deal with their emotions. It's pretty mind-blowing to watch, and it's super cool. And it's not a way that I saw kids growing up or I ever knew about. But the reality is that I think my kids are special because they're my kids. However, they're not special. They're not advanced. They're just functioning the way that it was designed. That's plain and simple. They're functioning the way that it was designed for them to function and operate in this world. Does my daughter, does my son handle and better adapt to the stressful, toxic world than I do? 100%, because my genetics were rehabilitated before we conceived and then gave birth to them and so on and so forth. But if you're beyond that fact and you're like, hey, I just want to live a more natural lifestyle with my kid, don't have shame around, living a more toxic lifestyle and a less natural lifestyle when you got pregnant or were having your kids in utero. Just start now, because it's just your kids are going to function better starting now. Okay. Raising kiddos naturally, really important also to detox. So there's different ways to detox your kiddos. I can advise you on that. We use zeolites in our office. There's different ways that you can do it. I'm not going to give you protocols because I can't unless you're my patient. And feel free to research on that. Find the safest bets and ways to detoxify your kiddos. Really important. Needs to consistently happen because we live in a toxic world. So raising your kids naturally is going to produce little superhumans. Nothing more that I love than to see little superhumans running around, living their best life, reaching their full potential that was put inside their body and not being hindered because of the crap that the world puts upon them. So, any questions, put them in the chat box. If you want to get into care and you're not into care, just reference this webinar. We'll give you 50% off your first visit. If you come to see us and you have questions, ask me directly at one of your visits. Send us a personal message, however you want to contact us to help your kids function better. We would love to help you. Even if you don't live here, we will send you to a chiropractor. We will help you understand how to live a better, healthy lifestyle, because it's literally the coolest thing to watch kiddos get raised naturally and function at their best. Thank you for tuning in.